Larry Mack, roll tide, and welcome back to the Crimson Tide Sports Network. How's everything going for you?
Oh, everything's good. Yeah, roll tide. The tide is rolling right now, which I know we'll talk a little bit about that, but it's hard to believe that the 2025 NASCAR season is in the book. Our parents tried to tell us the older we got, the more time would fly, and how right they were, because it seems like just a couple of months ago we were at Daytona getting ready for the Daytona 500, and here we are, another season in the books.
Well, it's a chance for everyone around NASCAR to have a deep breath because, like you mentioned, the Daytona 500 preparation starts for that, I guess, immediately for a lot of these teams in their garages. But that's all the way back in February. Here we are in the 1st of November. Can you just take people through how grueling a season NASCAR is?
Well, we just ran 38 races, including the Clash at Bowman Gray and the All-Star race at North Wilkesboro. We ran 38 races in a 40-week period. And when we had Easter weekend off and we came back the next week, we ran 28 consecutive weeks. Now, I realize people will go, well, Major League Baseball, they do 160 games. But all they have to worry about is making sure that they get their bats and baseballs and gloves and uniforms from one venue to the next. These guys are going back to the shop every week, preparing new race cars, preparing fresh engines, and it truly is a grind. I know it's a grind that everyone loves. You wouldn't be doing it if you didn't love it, but it is a grind. And you think about Major League Baseball, we just ended our season at Phoenix this past weekend. Major League Baseball just finished off the World Series, but we had been racing almost 2 months before Major League Baseball started the 1st of April.
It really is a long season that came to a close in Phoenix over the weekend. What were some of your main takeaways from Kyle Larson picking up his second NASCAR championship?
A very up and down year, but you know what? His Phoenix race was very up and down. With just around 100 laps to go, they had a flat tire. They caught a caution. They had to take the wave around. They were very deep in the field. And they were a classic example of never give up. Cliff Daniels kept telling Kyle Larson, even when it was not looking that good with less than 100 laps to go, he was telling him on the radio, we are not dead yet. And how right he was. All four of the championship four drivers had some type of a problem, some type of an issue. Obviously, the most notable would be the fact that William Byron, with less than 3 laps to go, cut a tire down, had a tire go down. And that pretty much was the blow that Denny Hamlin, that 11 team, did not know. Yeah, Chris Gale, he made the call for four tires. I still say he made the call that he had to make. He was on offense. You're leading the race. Yeah, Cliff Daniels had nothing to lose. He's sitting back there almost outside the top 10. Why not do something different and do just right side tires? But it obviously worked out. But when I look at this championship four, I don't think there was a more deserving championship four. You had four drivers that had won a combined 15 races. You had the regular season champion in William Byron. You had the driver that won the most races, Denny Hamlin. I know in the past, maybe like last year with Joey Logano, a lot of people question, is this the right championship four? Regardless of who won this championship, I don't think you can challenge that this was the right championship for the group that deserved to be there.
How heartbreaking is it for Denny Hamlin to once again win 6 races like he did throughout the season, but still not get the ultimate prize at the end of the year?
I mean, they have nothing to hang their hat, their head about. Again, 6 wins. They were fast every single week. And I think Denny Hamlin summed it up when Adam Alexander at the awards ceremony the other night asked him, said, how will you sum up the 2025 season? And he answered Adam in 2 words, almost perfect, because they were. They had done everything they needed to do. They were leading the race by a substantial amount of margin with less than three to go, and things just work out. It's the thing about NASCAR racing. If you go to an Alabama game, and let's just say this weekend against LSU, they're winning 42-10 with 4 minutes to go ahead and leave the stadium. Beat the traffic. If you were at one of the World Series games and let's say the Dodgers had the Blue Jays down 10-2 in the eighth, beat the traffic. Goes to show you this past weekend, you better never leave a race until the checkered flag is flown because it's not over till it's over.
It really isn't. So again, Kyle Larson picks up the championship. And for fans that may not be familiar with the role that Jeff Gordon's playing right now with Hendrick Motorsports, how key is Jeff to the success not only Kyle Larson's had, but everybody on that Hendrick team has had?
Well, it's still Rick Hendrick that's the owner, but he has all but handed that baton to Jeff Gordon. You know, Rick, he's still in good health, but let's face it, he's not getting any younger. I think he wants to do other things outside of just going to the racetrack each week, even though he loves it. And I think Jeff Gordon is pretty much guiding that ship. But who best could you have guiding a ship for someone that's been there since 1992? Won 93 races and 4 championships. I think that's a pretty good role model to be guiding the ship.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, Kyle Larson picks up the NASCAR Cup Series championship. Do you think we're going to see any changes to the championship format moving forward for NASCAR?
Unfortunately, and I say that the way I feel, I think that ship has already sailed. It's going to change. I think they're still trying to figure out what to do, but I just hate it because I just look at this year alone, not just the excitement of that championship race at Phoenix, that it came down to the last restart. With 2 restarts to go, you had all four of those championship four drivers almost four wide after the restart. I don't know how you can duplicate that, changing it. I just look at the round of 8. If they go to like a 4 race final round, is Denny Hamlin going to do what he did at Las Vegas? Did it to a car that he owned because he knew if he wins that race, he moves on. Are you going to see the intensity of what Chase Briscoe did at Talladega? And are you going to see a race like we saw between Ryan Blaney and William Brown at Martinsville? Quite honestly, this is a guy that's been here for 45 years, and I've seen every type of scenario there is. I think we're working and trying to fix something that's not broke. In fact, we're probably going to break it.
Certainly, it'll be interesting to watch coming up over the next few weeks and see what the format will be for 2026. But as we mentioned, the NASCAR season in the books. And now, of course, you always pay attention to Alabama football, but now you can solely focus on this Crimson Tide football team. Just walk us through your emotions, starting with week 1 against Florida State and then this winning streak we've seen ever since.
Well, I was devastated after week 1. I live on the lake, and more than likely, if you go out there somewhere in the middle of the lake, is my big screen TV that's still floating around the water somewhere. But now, 8, 9 weeks later, I think it was the wake up call that Kalen DeBoer and that group needed, and I think they have responded with 7 consecutive wins. I still think they've got work to do. I think even though it was at South Carolina, only winning 29-22, that made me a little bit nervous. I do feel good about these next 4 games. 3 of the 4 are at home: LSU, Oklahoma, Eastern Illinois. Of course, we do have to go to Auburn, but there's a lot going on at Auburn right now, as we well know. But I honestly believe, I won't say if we have to play Ohio State or Indiana or Texas A&M. I'll go when we play them. I think we're going to have to grab another gear or two. That group, Texas A&M, is really good right now. I think we've got to be a little bit better on our defense. I think we've got to do a better job of running the ball. We can't depend on Jam Miller every single running play. We got to depend on other folks. Ryan Williams, he's maybe not performed like I thought he was going to. Bernard has been the guy receiving the football. There is no question. And Ty Simpson, as much as I was a big Jalen Milroe fan, why in the hell wasn't we playing Ty Simpson last year? But I got all the confidence in the world. This group has come a long way since Florida State back on Labor Day weekend, but I do think we've got to improve some things over these next 4 ball games.
Well, of course, you had to get creative as a crew chief in the pit stops, making sure you did some certain things maybe you didn't think you would have to do to win certain races. How about Ryan Grubb doing the same things, putting Jeremy Bernard all kinds of different spots, using unique blocking systems? That has to be fun to watch, seeing how this offense changes to get the winning plays, specifically, like you mentioned, against South Carolina and go back to Georgia and Missouri as well.
And I'm sorry I can't call his name, but to me, the most creative thing they've done, I think, is number 74,
Caden
uh,
Proctor, yes, sir.
using him as a running back. I mean, oh my gosh, how creative is that? And when they did that against Georgia, I think we already had Georgia beat, but I think that was a momentum swift right there.
It certainly was part of the fun we've had this season with Alabama football. Well, Larry, as you get into your NASCAR offseason, do you have a chance to get back and to watch some Crimson Tide games in person coming up down the stretch, or are you just taking it easy in the next few weeks?
I'm hoping to. Once again, I'm not going to say if they make it to the playoffs, but when they make it to the playoffs, I hope to catch one of those games. My wife's doing great, but she's recovering from some surgery she had here about a month ago. I thought once about maybe trying to get down for the Oklahoma game, but I think we'll just sit back and let her get fully recovered, watch these next four games at home, and then see where it goes from there. Maybe try to make one of the playoff games.
Well, we'll look forward to seeing you down the road. Larry McReynolds, just always enjoy your insight on both NASCAR and Alabama football. Just thank you for the time with us on the Crimson Tide Sports Network. All the best. Roll Tide.
Well, roll tide, and it's hard to believe we just finished 2025. It's just over 100 days, though, until the 2026 Daytona 500. So it'll be here before you know it.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Larry. Roll Tide.
Roll tide. Take care.